Hello, my name is Keith Kelly. I'm going to try to show you some simple things with the Spike Prime training so that I can show you some basic robot training that's going on. If you have any questions, I'll have questions at the end as well. I'm going to go through the basics. Basically, I'm going to introduce you to the kit and kind of show you what you get in the kit from you start. Then going to go and show you how to update the hub, how to connect the Wi-Fi to the hub, and talk about the software. And then I'll end talking about the management, how you manage it in class. I've been using it. I've been teaching integrated technology since 2005 at Nokomis Regional Middle School. And we've been using some of these Lego kits. I've had some since, I've used Mindstorms for this, and I've had them since last year. So I'm going to try to focus on the kit that you guys get in the box that comes. And I'm doing the Lego Prime. The Essential kit is very similar to the Lego Prime kit that we have. Pretty much the same thing, just a little bit less of the motors and a few things of that nature, and I can talk about that too as well. So when you get the box, you're going to get basically a complete Lego Prime robot kit. The cool thing is on the back, it shows you all the parts. Okay, you get the sticker. They give you the tray. Everything out. Everything's kind of color coded. Everything's labeled. The state also bought some extra kits. Bought you Prime Principal kits too as well. That just gives you some extra parts. All the bagging, if you look at the bag, everything is number coded. You get motors, you get your sensors, you get your brick, and your basic part. The bottom of the kit is where most of your parts will go. Your motor, take them out of the bags. Your sensors, the sensor you're going to get, you get a color sensor that can tell lights, can tell the difference between certain colors. You'll get a ultrasonic sensor, like this is like in essence a bat, the pinging noise. This can do distances, okay? You'll get a touch sensor or force sensor, okay? Motor-wise, you get two of the smaller motors that are like longer, and you get one of the bigger motors, kind of a larger unit that you get. The motors have plug in just like all the connectors. There's only a set way to be able to plug it in. Comes with a brick, and you have the battery. Comes built in. It's notched to only go one way. Click, and you have it in, and that's basically your robot. You can see that it is labeled A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, that becomes important when kids are plugging things in. These notches go right in for plugging in. They only go a certain way when you plug them out. We'll talk later on, but you get the power button, you get the Wi-Fi connector button, and you'll see your speaker, and later on we'll talk about in their software for the gyro, like how the balancing one. Now there's more bracketing that comes with it as well. You get a set of wheels, struts. Basically, we dump these at the bottom of the kit so the kids can use them. So you'll get a basic tire, basic struts. Just a little note, Legos they give you numbers, and they'll say this is a 3, this is 12. It's by the number of dots on it. So as you count how many of these dots, that's what that number, that piece would be called of that type. They come with labeling labeling on it. A couple things. This one, I'd recommend. This is the big sticker. You're going to put it, find a place on your box that you're going to want to put it on. And we'll talk about this later in management, but you're going to want to number everything. They come and they show you in the picture where these will go. So each slot, so this is a 1. You line it up, put it in. You can see 2. 3 and 4. Okay. Once you have the box labeled, then you can, the pieces, you know, the pieces fit right in. So for example, 1 set goes in. So if you cut, you can dump 1 and all the parts for 1 will go in there. And then, so that's your one tray. Now, again, all the bracing and all the other ones that go on the bottom. You do get a power cord for your hub. That USB that you can plug into a hub for powering. So USB. This end clicks in the back. I recommend one thing you got to talk about when you're building with the kids is tell them, especially when they do free builds, not to block so you can't get to charge it. I'll show you some samples, but certain of the robots, if they build the backwards in the way, then you can't get into for plugging. The battery is about a 4-hour battery, and I'll talk about USB and all of that. I do mark mine at the top so I know which, because I can just, when I'm plugging, I can see, oh, I just put a little black dot on top of it, and I know, oh, that's the direction for it to go. Now we have the tub. Oh, I will point out you have little stickers to mark, to put it on, to mark it. Well, and again, the more you label these, the better off you are. Come up with a naming convention because you'll have so many Legos robots in a thing. You can actually, so you can see mine. So I have tons. So everything is labeled by the numbers. I actually have been taking these numbers that are on the bags and using them, sticking them on my robots for that number as well. You can print something too as well. So I'm going to put on the rest of the stickers. So I put the rest of the stickers on, then I have my tub, and the same thing applies. Your kit does come with little elastics. See, they're little elastics. You might want to pull them out and keep them and then hand them out as they're being used rather than putting them in the kit. That's up to you. Now, they give you an extra pack, a 13, and these are like extra pieces. You can tuck that away. I have some tubs, some thin, narrow tubs, and I'll talk about this in management, but small, thin tubs at the bottom that I put these extra pieces are. You'll always find too is you're going to want to plan on every year at the end of the year adding a few pieces that you'll have a run on some pieces for some reason. For, you know, every year, for example, this year, these little feet my kids have liked to lose this year, so I'm going to have to get more of those. Or these little arm stretchy things, and then boom, put that on. And then you have your completed kit there. I recommend putting a number on them. I actually label the boxes too as well, and I'll show you. So I put a number on the box itself. I put a number on the side. I write it on so it's in multiple places. I put a number on the unit itself. And then I actually write numbers here underneath and on here, because what they'll do is they'll set this down and they'll grab another kid's thing. And in the end, they'll have two of the same. They'll have two of the 1 through 4s and on the same one. So you want to label as much as possible. Actually, in this one, the kid from box 12 has put the wrong one in there as well. So you can see But the more you can label, the better off you are. All of my bricks get labeled too as well. You do get this kit comes, so it's extra stuff for you. You can keep it off the side, but I put it right in with the kits. It's an extra set of wheels. I use these when I give them free build time. An extra bracing. You have a yellow one and now you have a blue one. So you get a little bit more of these. Okay. We can take these motors and there's little stickers too to place them on the motor. So you can label them too as well. I like to take this one and put it in number 3 where all the small ones are. Comes with the extra pouch. And this one you can do some sorting and do that, or you can put it on the bottom, depending on how you want to sort it. I'll have the kids do some sorting around this too as well. But so there's your basic kit that you have. And that's part 1. Hello, my name is Keith Kelly. I'm going to try to show you some simple things with the spike training so that I can show you some basic robot training that's going on. If you have any questions, I'll have questions at the end as well. Okay, the essential kit. Yeah, same idea. Tells you everything that is supposed to be there. Get a little labeling. Difference in the labeling for this, it's all color coded. So if you look, it's like everything is just a color. So it's not by parts and pieces. The parts are all color coded. So pull all the stickers off, stick them on the sides. So the parts come in, go and put the stickers on, label them. It has stickers for basically the mini hub and the 2 motors, the light bar, and the color sensor, and then a side. I'm gonna take the big one. And again, the more you label these, the better off you are. So you get 2 small motors, light display, color sensor, or light sensor, dark and light. Mini hub, same thing. It only clicks in one way. Get a USB cable for it. Plugs in same as the other one. Only plugs in one way. Plug into your laptop. It has 2 ports, so you can only have 2 ports on it, unlike the multiples for the other one. Everything's color coded. You might want to consider, you get little elastics, same thing. You might want to consider setting those off and handing them out as they're used. Color coded. You get some basic wheels, some struts, some plate. Now you do have extra parts, same. You have the extra parts, same as the other kit came with. You want, again, you can put them off to the side or you can keep them with them. It would be up to you. Okay, so with the essentials, you get a smaller brick. Same things are going to have. I'm plugging this into the laptop so I can do the hub and I can update the hub. Also, you know, this will charge it too as well. And you'll see it's a little light right there charging. It's red. It'll turn. So it's charging it. Now, this time I'm going to pick the essentials rather than picking the other one. So I've got the essentials a little bit different here. And you can see that. If I hit the start, save, now we have the same tutorials that we have here. Now we have a smaller motor, the light, the color sensor, and it does have a built-in gyro just like the other, and talking to you about word blocks. I'll go home, I'm gonna hit plus. I'm going to do the icon blocks, which is the easier, shorter ones, smaller. I'm going to hit the connect button. I'm going to hit open. Now, when you do it, it's going to we got to turn on our Bluetooth. You need your Bluetooth on so it can be discoverable. Now I'm going to hit open and it's going to search for a compatible device. Now, you can see it comes up with a Lego hub name. I'm going to pair it. And now it's paired. Now, I'm going to give it a unique name. Now I've named it. You can see the hub plugged in. I'm leaving it plugged in for charging purposes, but now I can plug in different ports. So I'm going to go plug in. If you look, again, it's notched to only go one way. Same thing with the ports. There's only a notch to go in one way. Get my fingers out of the way. Okay, so I put a motor in. I only have 2 ports. I'm going to put a light sensor in. I can unplug it from the USB. I'm just doing that to keep it charged. You can see the light turned on. The other thing that happens is on the left-hand side, you'll see that it's showing this. What's, you know, how much is it moving? How much is it spinning? How much light? How no? Like now there's none. Now there's some. Over here you have the puzzle pieces so you can drag things up and you can drop them in. So I can drop it and you can see I really want it. What speed do I want it to spin? What direction do I want it to go in? And then I want it to stop. If I go over and push play, so it did exactly what I said. It turned and it stopped. I can add the light sensor or the matrix. It's depending what I'm trying to do. I recommend doing the tutorials too, same thing. Basically, all the kids have to do is you click one of them, follow what the directions say. So you can see it's showing, plug it into port A. And you'll see, okay, I'm going to plug in port A. The ports only go one way. Click next. Then on the left, it will show them what to do. So I'm doing that. I'm following the directions of what they're telling me to do. I'm pushing play. And now you can see the motor is turning. And now that I can hit stop, I hit check and, oh yeah, I've done that. And I can work my way through the light, the color sensor, the built-in gyro, all of that, basically. They're all in the units. Units, if we click, are a little bit same idea. So build the boat. A lot of the units I'm finding is they stack on each other. So when you're done this great adventure, you build all the pieces and they kind of go together. For example, if you do this amusement park, especially if you have multiple kits, what you can do is have one kit, one group building the fast lane, one building the classic carousel, one building the perfect swing, one building the spinning Ferris wheel, the twirling cups. And then basically you can have a complete one together. And again, it's much more story orientated, the units, rather than directional based. Like, hey, do this challenge, follow this challenge. Same thing as applies as the other one. We got to make sure that when we're in one of our units, that we do save as we do things. So if we hit new project, again, we can do word blocks if you want. looks very similar. It's a little bit higher level, but don't forget you have to hit the save button as you go. The building instructions are here. Same concept. There's tons of different building units here. So you could find, let's say we want to build the Ferris wheel or the classic carousel. We click, and then the directions step by step are all there, and in the end you would have a unit. And that's simple. That's the basics with the essential kits, basically to put it apart, taken together. Hello, my name is Keith Kelly. I'm going to try to show you some simple things with the Spike Prime. If you have any questions, I'll have questions at the end as well. I'm going to go through the basics. Okay, so I've introduced you to the kit that you get for the Spike Prime. Now I'm going to talk about the hub and the brick and the first things you have to do when you get it out of the box. I recommend you do this before. If you have the kids, it's going to take time, and having 20 kids or however many kids do this, especially all in the same room, I would recommend you just take some time to plug it in and do the update, have it all updated and named before the kids get it. That way you're controlling what it's named for the first time. Okay. Again, and I'll show this in management, I do label everything too as well. Right now, this is an unlabeled brick. So we're going to name it and so on. When you first you go to spike.lego education, it's going to load up. You can run these from an app. What I found is at the beginning of the year, I ran it in the app and everything was great. And halfway through the year, they updated the hub. And I found that it works a lot better by running it with the web app, the spike.legoeducation.com. You can do the legacy app if you need to do an older version. So if you do spike legacy.lego, it brings you to the old version of the app. When you first open it, you can use the Spike app 3, and it will open this up right here. This is the essential section, and this is the prime section. So this is where you can go to. If you have the essentials, you can go there and you'll get the lessons and stuff around the essential kit. Prime kit is on the right. I would recommend, I like using this to the web because it gives me all the building directions, everything all in the same spot. So I'm going to pick the Spike Prime. So it's saying, okay, we got everything. Now it's asking me to update the hub. So what I'm going to do is take a USB, the cable that came with it, and plug it directly into my laptop to its USB. So I'm plugging it into the USB on this laptop. You can see I've got it plugged into this laptop, and then I'm plugging it into the connector on the hub. Okay. And then what's going to happen is it will turn on. And then what you're going to end up doing is say, update the OS hub. When you click on it, now I have it hardwired. So I'm going to say open. And I only have this one open. I don't have any other spikes open at all. So this is when it pops up the screen. This is the only hub that is open for choosing. So there's no other hubs or anything like that that can be chosen. So when I hit open, it will say Lego Technic Large Hub in FS mode. And that's why I do it and I don't do it with the kids. This is the one that I have open. So I know this is the only one. I don't have any of my other hubs on, any of my other things on. I'll hit connect. And then it's going to give me this window of read this before you update. So I'm going to say update OS hub, and it will start updating it. And you might have to walk away from it. Might take a little bit of time. And I've left it plugged in while it's doing this. You can see the light turned on, and we'll talk about the light matrix and all that. It's flashing, and it might take a little bit of time. A lot of times I'll start these and I'll just literally just walk away from them so that they're updated, and then I don't have to worry about it. and then I'll walk away and I'll come back. Now that we've updated, it will give you, yay, your updated window. And now you're in the basic thing. Now you need to do that. You want to do that update for your robot. If I say new project, and I'm just going to say word blocks and say create. And that way you can see I'm going to unplug the brick. And now I have the brick unplugged. I don't need the plug-in wire at all. So now I just have the brick. And you can see the software. The difference now, you'll see you have a green light, and before you had a white light. Now, if I want to connect this, I can hit connect. So you can see it's either a white or a green light. White means it hasn't been updated. We just did an update. If you have that, you can do this. You can hit white update and it will do the exact same thing. The only difference is you can do it Wi-Fi based if you don't have it plugged directly in. If you notice, so what I'll do is I'll hit green. And when I hit the green button, and now it says open, I'm going to push this button right here, which is the Wi-Fi that turns on the Wi-Fi. So, and it will start blinking. It will be blue and it will blink. So I've got this on and I've done this. Then if I say open, then what will happen, and I'm going to turn on my Bluetooth so I can pair. So turning on my Bluetooth, and then it will search and it will find Spike Prime. Now there's no others on. When you have others on after you've labeled them, if I take some of my others that I have on, it will say, oh, number 27 is on, however you've labeled them, and you'll see a whole bunch of lists. So that's what I recommend. I do this without anything on. So I click Spike Prime, and I'm going to go and click pair. Once I click pair, then it will give me this window and ask, what do you want for a unique name? So I like to name them. I get a number, and I do give it, like, you can give it another name after your school name, or I can say, whatever. I do have to say, I do like to label it because it is Bluetooth. So when you're searching for things, if you have that, it's Spike Robot, people, oh, that's what that is. So I've given it a name. I'm going to hit done. And now this robot, if I click on there, it's telling you the name of it. It's also telling you, what this hub has been 40%, so it needs to be charged. And I can disconnect, and now I can leave it, and now I'm off. And I can turn it off or whatever. But that now means that's how you can connect your hub, and okay, that's a good working hub. And I'll go label them so that I know that goes with that. Put it in the tub, and we have this one goes with this one. Again, all labeled. And I'll show you that about labeling in my management section. So now that you've gone and opened the program and programmed it, we'll talk more about the software itself. You can pick between the icon blocks and the word block. If you do the icon, it's more for the younger kids or more a visual learner. There's also, if you do the legacy, you can do the Python, which is for higher level kids. We use it to code our Rubik Cube solver, and we'll talk more about that in the software section. Here I picked word blocks, and then if you go from the word blocks, you can go and connect it, and it has sections, and I'll talk about this in the software section. But if we connect the hub, you'll see it, click on it up in the corner, and then we open the hub, and I'm going to connect it. I will point out the software has a lot of good ways of showing you what the hub has connected to it for sensors and motors. Again, with the hub, we have the Wi-Fi connected, turned on. You can see it's connecting, find it from the Bluetooth, and once it's connected, it will turn green up in the corner. We're now connected to it. If we click on that icon, you can see we have the spike and it will tell us the name of it. We can disconnect, but it'll also tell us the power. And if we connect these sensors and these motors into the unit, it will literally tell us what port it's plugged into, what thing is plugged into, whether it's a sensor or the motor. And you can see across the top. In the bottom right, you can see the play. It will play your software, and it will stop it. We'll go more over this in the next session when I talk all about how to do the software. Also, it's showing you what number of programs you have, and I'll speak more of this later. Thank you. Any questions? Hello, my name is Keith Kelly. I'm going to try to show you some simple things with the Spike Prime training so that I can show you some basic robot training that's going on. If you have any questions, I'll have questions at the end as well. Okay, so I've introduced a kit. I've showed you how to update the hub. I've showed you how to connect the Wi-Fi and also labeling the hub. Now let's talk about getting to the software. You have two ways of accessing the software. You either can download the app and install the app and use the app, or you can do it through the web base. I have found, I'm using Chromebooks, I found the web bases work better for me for connecting. Before the update, it was fine with using the app, and that's how the kids would connect with their spikes. And then what happened was when they did the update, because I literally switched classes in the middle of the year and they did the update in the middle of the year. Then I find if you go through the web version, the connection it just works much better. It comes up and clicks and the kids don't have so much a problem. Again, it is important that you label these hubs because the kids are going to look and then they'll, every once in a while, they'll grab another kid's number by mistake or on purpose. So you got to be just aware of that. When you first open up, you have this basic software package that comes up on the web-based one. I always start with the kids and I have them do the start. And then what that will do is it gives them the ability to do the tutorials. There are 6 tutorials in here, and each tutorial teaches them the different parts of the tool. You have the light matrix, the motor, the color sensor, the distance sensor, and the force sensor. And it's pretty independent. I have my kids do it. Again, age-wise, I'm doing this with 6th graders. I've done this with 5th graders, and you can do it with older ones. We've used this with our older kids too at the high school. Basically, it's really nice. You just follow the directions. Each one, now each time, once you connect the hub, you don't have to do it again, but you can see it's asking me to, connect to the hub. So again, I press this to connect to the hub. It's asking me what color. I'll turn on my robot, the brick, and I'm green because I've already done the update. And then I can click green and I can say open. I push the little button. It beeps blue. You'll see it beeping. I find my number in here. In this case, we had labeled it 90. I find my number. I click on it. I say pair. And then now I'm paired. And you'll see a little green light that will tell you, okay, you're paired. You can actually see the yaw and pitch. If I'm twisting it, it will tell you that number. It'll tell you the tilt angle. If you plug in motors and parts, let me grab a motor. So if I plug in a motor to port A, and you can see I'm plugging it into port A, it will pick up that there's a motor in port A, and you'll actually see the little, and it will tell you some of the information. This is very helpful later on when they're doing activities. A lot of times kids will plug these ports in the wrong ports and it's not working, why? And then that's what it is. Now I'm just going to close this out because we're in it. Now it's really nice. It shows you what to do. You just literally have the kids on the left-hand side. It says drag and drop. And then when you go and drag this down, it tells you what the next thing to do. It's all puzzle based. You can do icons for the younger kids. And then if you push play, you can see it will change the light matrix to a happy face instead of the one that was there before. Very simple, but this is a great way to teach them the basic coding. And then if you just click the next one, it will let them play around with it. And then you can say, oh yeah, I got the first one, and you just work your way. I have the students work my way through the 6 tutorials. That teaches them the basics. Hey, so say you want to just regular units. If you hit plus, you can do icon blocks or word blocks. I would point out if you do icon blocks, and we'll talk more about this with the essentials, but if I hit create with the icon blocks, you can see they're simpler pictures. They're literally drag and drop. So this is very similar if I wanted to do the light matrix, or I'm going to go and make it sound, or each one, as you can see, the motors, but they're much more simplistic puzzle based. So you stack them on each other. When you get it, then you hit play. Now, if you don't use the icon blocks, you can use the word blocks. So I'm going to use that. And then I'm going to hit connect, turn on here, green connect, open, spike 3 pair. All right, so now I'm paired, shows what I have connected. When the program starts, you see the program here. This is telling you what's plugged in or not plugged in. As we go over, we can drag and drop. They're all puzzle pieces. So we have sections of the units of the block, the word block codes. So you got motors, movement, light, sound, events, and so on. You drag it over. You tell what port. You can see, so I have this robot is plugged into A. This motor right here is plugged in, so it's A. And I'm saying, oh, how long do I want it to go for? How many rotations? I can set the speed. I can set the position. All these different choices I have here. Movement. So I want to tell, oh, I want it to move for 10 rotations. So I want this motor to move. Now, one thing, kids do things out of order all the time where they say, oh, and the musculature is not running, and I'll look at the order and it won't be telling it what to do. It'll be telling it after the fact. Turn right, left. The light matrix, again, and I can stack them in between. I can say, hey, when it turns on, I want the light matrix to have a certain color on it. And I'm going to change what it looks like, how light, how dark. I can turn it off or on. I can have it play a sound. I will warn you, the kids will do the cat sound over and over and over again and play in loops. Then if we go down here, we can change the pitch. And then we go down here, events. This is like, hey, when the program starts, or when this happens in this color, when this color sensor finds this color, then do this thing. So these are sensors. When the power button is pressed, then do this. So this is how you can have it. Oh, if it runs into something, then stop. So I can go motors, and I can have stop the motor if that is pressed. Things of that nature. So again, I can't go through every part of it, but you can play around with it, and the lessons do set these up, like explain how these work. If you go down, then you can get to controls, which is if then statements. When this happens, then do this. If this sensor, this is touched, then do this. You can have that. This is your controls, is all on your wait for so many seconds, wait 1 second, then do the activity, or repeat this multiple times. And again, you're doing pre-algebra here and some troubleshooting statements. If this happens, then do this. So if we go, so you can see here's some sensors. So if in here, the color, that if the color sensor is plugged in port A and it sees this color, then do something. And you can say, okay, we're going to build this in. So we're going to say we want it to turn on, and we want the motor to move and run. And we can hit play, and it will do the coding that you're playing and move as you want. Now this my unit here, if it doesn't it has to have the stuff plugged in and plugged in the right port, or it won't work. It won't move. It won't run. Kids have to do a lot of troubleshooting. Operators end up being like, if you can say if it's greater than, if this happens 100 times, then do this thing. If we scroll down, variables, you can make your own variable block, so kids can make their own statements. Down in the left-hand corner, if we click, there's tons more sensors. So there's some assignments. So for example, there's one that asks for the line graph. Well, to do that then, so watch, I'm going to click on these, the bar graph, the display, and if I go up here, I've got more movement. These are beyond the basics. Okay. So now if I click off this, you'll see all of a sudden now I have line graph, I have music, I have more sensors, I have bar graphs, I have tons more of these coding blocks. You can go, again, don't forget to save this. You want to save these every once in a while. If you don't save them, then you're going to have a problem, because then the next time you want, and you can load the projects. Down here, when you dump them to the computer, what will happen is, so if I download this to that brick, it's downloaded. Now that brick will have more than one. You can have up to 19 storage positions so that kids can run different codes together. And I'm all in one block, but then you can also do this. So I have this, I would click to it, and I can do this on the actual, down here on the actual hub, click, and then I can go, oh, play that code, and it will go play the code. And that's the basics around here. I can zoom in, zoom out if I really need to get into a section. And that's pretty much the code block. You'll have to play around with mixing them, intermix them. I recommend having them do the lessons. The lessons teach that there. Then there are tons of beautiful units that are already done. You can pick one. If you hit build, the building instructions are there. My students, and I'll show you my classroom as well. I have my students start with the Rhino based one. They do a Rhino, so they do this building project right here, the parts. If you want kids to working in groups, one thing you can do, I've done asynchronous groupings. So I had with the Rhino, all 3 classes I have, they had a group mate from each class. They would have to use, they use Flipgrid and some videos to tell each other what they were doing. And they also split it up. So you could do this where you build the Rhino head and then you build the Rhino body, depending on what the kid wants to do. When you click, and again, it's pretty good detailed instructions. The Rhino is a good base to use. This is a basic Rhino. Let me go here. So this is a basic Rhino. It has the touch sensor, so if it runs in, they teach kids learn how to do the touch sensor. There's a whole lesson around that as well. But again, the kids go through the building process. The units, what will happen is there's different units there. The lesson plans are really awesome. And then when you have the lesson plan, you can pick, okay, I'm doing the Spike Prime. If you're doing essentials, you could pick that. I do the grade. I pick my subject. So I'm going to do STEAM here. And then you can scroll down and you'll see there's lesson sections, but you can also go down and find the individual lesson as well. So I go and pick this going the distance. And in here, it's all for you as a teacher, all the lessons are there, the different videos, anything you need. Like there's a little video to start the discussion, and then all the lesson is there. If you click the view the student online, this is the worksheet, for example, that I have my kids get. I have a Google Classroom, and then this has the worksheet, and I have a Google form. That's where they collect it. And the kids go, so now here it teaches them the basics, some basics programming. Again, this is where they'll mess up. They'll not plug in the ports in the right port. They'll have things not in order. But they do these lessons, and as they do each lesson, this whole lesson teaches them, a lot about motion, but also the touch sensor. Each kind of lesson kind of teaches a different sensor as you go. And that's that worksheet. I'm going to go back to here, and that was the student worksheet. And there, your lessons for your teachers are all right here. The key objectives, the things you need, all of that's here for you. You can pick which different ones that you want. The lessons are kind of really cool for what we have. Now that is, and the build, I like that the build instructions are all right there for them to build whatever. I get the Rhino done, and we do the Smart Bike. Let me see where, we do this Smart Bike here. This one here we build, and then we go through, and once we have the Smart Bike, and then I with my time I don't see them for 1 trimester, so they get to do a free build if they've earned. I have competitions in between where the Rhino, the competition is who can get closest to the edge without falling off and go back and forth, and the fastest. The Spike is the Smart Bike is what incline, the steepest incline that you can do. It's good to have a challenge, because what will happen is you'll have some kids that will go through and finish the build and be done, and other kids will take longer. So if you did that challenge, the kids that are still taking time can work on it. About 3 to 4 classes, depending on how detailed you go with the lesson. This Rhino takes about 2 classes to build, and there's a couple classes of the lesson, and then you have that overlap class if you need a little bit more. Some kids go faster, so you want to kind of build in something for those kids who go faster, do something, and the kids to catch up to do. The Rhino I did asynchronously, so we shared 20 boxes, and they all built, but they had to talk to each other. So someone built this part, and then they would do the lesson. Once they have the Rhino, that's not a bad lesson to do if you do, because you can pair some kids up with some kids that need more help building. So in the end, they have a Rhino to actually do the assignment. The bike. Okay, the bike went individual, so they would build on the bike. So the bike is here. So they built that, and then they would do the lesson again. If you go back to the home, and we go back to home, and again, units. we look through, the smart bike is in those lessons too as well. And there's an all lesson. And again, I have a challenge. And then I did a free build, which was kind of fun. They did either open build or they went through and looked at different builds that we have. And that's pretty much the software. Again, I would recommend taking them through the start and do there. The only problem about the web interface, if you do a new project and you want something saved, you know, they're going to have to think about saving. It's not an automatic save thing. They have to save the project, bring it down, and then bring it back up again. So that is something they have to think about when you're doing it. And they're so used to things just automatically saving. There are some lessons that you'll go when we're doing the smart bike. They'll look for coding blocks that they don't have in the bottom left-hand corner. If you click that, what happens is this opens. And this gives them, there's extra, so there's more motor. So you can like, oh, add all of these different sensors in here. So if I do this, and then I close this out, what will happen is there'll be a lot more choices for coding blocks that weren't there before. And sometimes when they have to, the smart bike asks them to do some coding, some line graph coding, and you need that coding. So that's in this bottom left-hand corner here, down in the left-hand corner. You click it, and then you add the ones. I think they try to limit them so they're not so confusing, and you can turn them off or on. That's something you have to talk to the kids about as they do it. And that's the basic software. The kids, I've been just using basic Chromebooks. The kids, what we have there, that's how they've been doing the connecting, and that's the software. Okay, so I've introduced the kit. I've showed you how to update the hub. I've showed you how to connect the Wi-Fi to the hub. And then I've talked to you about the software. I'm just going to kind of talk to you about some classroom management. You're going to get a sea of Lego tubs. A couple things about it, and I've kind of mentioned it. You want to figure out a labeling scheme. So I have all mine labeled by numbers. Every brick has a number to it. So you can see I've labeled the number, the brick itself has a number. So this is box 46. It has a tub that corresponds with it. So here's box 46. It has extra labels on it. You open it up, this is labeled. And even the tubs themselves, if we look, are labeled. So all of these have labels on them too. And even underneath this, I've put a label. If you don't, what will happen is the kid will set it on the table and grab another kid. And then one tub will have 2 of this tray and the other tub will have 2 of that tray. They will leave these around, but the more you label, the better off you are. I haven't got to the point where I'm labeling individual parts and components, but I'm trying to label as much as the main ones as I can. And so we have the thing. Now, you do need to figure out management, like where you're going to put things. There's a couple options you can have. As you can see, this is just made out of old shelving the school had. We built a brand new school and we moved. And this is literally just pieces of wood screwed. And then I just made the shelving. I redid an old library shelf. And then I made this. This is holding about 42 kits. You do want to think of what you're going to do for your extra pieces, your storage. Also, the pieces, there's going to be some pieces that are lost and stolen, or hopefully not stolen, but are taken or moved or lost. So you need, oh, Miss Kelly, I'm missing this part. So I've made some kits. So this has set number of parts. I have storage of my extra parts in here. So I recommend you come up with something like that because you will have what do you do with your extra parts? And when a kid needs it, where can they go get it? That's one way of doing it. Another way you can do is you can repurpose. So this is a repurposed, this whole unit here is a repurposed library cart. So that's all I've done. I've just repurposed it, labeled it, so that I can go both sides and hold a few. And also it is portable, which is nice to have because then you can move it as you need to. Okay, that is something. Then you can see I have these carts are purchased. What these have is you can hold about 12 kits in them. And then in the kit, they just slide in, slide out. Again, everything's labeled. It also gives you you do need to think about when they're building, where do these robots go? You need a place for them to be stored. So while they're in the process of building, they can leave them and come back and forth. You do have to think about that as you go. As you can see, I have mine on across the top here. And so what happens is this is my class. That's tomorrow's class. And then when they go and take theirs, I will move the class that's coming next. So those get moved up because then they're charging. And on that, you do have to think about how are you charging. I bought a unit like this. This has 20. You can get different variations. I have this on my wall. Two of these units are sitting directly on my wall, like one's over there, one's over there, and I have them on just a surge protector that I can click and turn off. And this is what I plug in. Again, I rotate my groups. So that's tomorrow's class. That whole everything up there is tomorrow's class. And then these ones down here and over here are that one over there. Those are my next class, and I'll just do the rotation. I could have another shelf and have these so that they could plug in. I'm going to kind of work on that. I have about, if you have a class of 20, 2024, that would work perfect. I have classes. So if I have all 3 6th grade classes doing it, I'm in the 60, 70, 80 kids. So it becomes a logistic thing. And that's pretty much management that you have to think about.